Welcome to the Hasn't Been 3 Days podcast with your hosts, Justin and BJ, and we talk about 3-day old news, sports, and whatever else we seem to care about or want to. You, the MVP listener, you listen in, you laugh, you hate on our takes and opinions. But if you're going to hate on our opinions, just wait until it's been 3 days. So here we are again, another episode. We're nearing the end of our first season. Somebody asked me the other day, Justin, how many episodes are in a season? I said, however many we want.
So. That's right. Maybe season 2 will be 40 episodes.
So how's your weekend been? How have the last 3 days been for you?
The weekend was good. Just a lot of busyness. It was the weekend I told the kids we were doing nothing but Christmas stuff because we hadn't done any Christmas things around the house. So we got the tree set up. We got 19 totes of Christmas decorations, and it was actually a beautiful weekend here weather-wise. We were in the 60s.
Wow.
In December. It was nice. I literally spent all day Saturday and pretty much all day Sunday after church outside, just working in the garage, working on decorations for the yard, and it was a good time. So, but yeah, we just did a lot of that. We're still doing Christmas stuff. We'll probably be doing Christmas stuff till New Year's, and then we'll have to take it all down. But how about you, man?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. It was too fast. Multiple times talking to people just was like how fast the weekend went by. I just wish we had another day. And had my kids on Saturday, so that was awesome. We ended up going to church Saturday night, which was fun. Love going to church with my kids. I miss that. And then I went to a new church on Sunday morning. We were checking it out, and that was pretty cool. Totally different feel. And then we just kind of hung out, and that was cool. And then just kind of getting into the things. But one of the really cool things about going through life and all the different things that happen is that you run across people that you never dreamed you would run across them again. And so tonight we have a very special opportunity to interview somebody that I ran across a couple weeks ago, just kind of reconnected with him. His name is Kenny Schweitz. He's from Wichita, Kansas. And God's got a hold of his life. He's doing some great things. And so I asked him if he'd be on the podcast. He's a friend of ours, a friend of our family. Went to church with him in Wichita, and he's been married. He's going to tell us a little bit about his story. But he's a rapper. He's a Christian artist. He's getting ready to release an album, and so we wanted to have him on. So here's a clip from his title track of his new album, Darkness Falls. Let's take a listen, and then we're going to talk to Kenny.
Even in your darkest of days, everything will be okay. All you gotta do is just show your strength and fight through the pain. I was drowning in my thoughts when I was drowning in the bottle. Fighting off that pain is one tough pill to swallow. I done seen the top, I done been at the bottom. My only fear in life was never knowing if I'll ever see tomorrow. Mine was empty, heart was hollow. Never had a positive role model to follow when I was younger. Had to learn how to survive off the hunger. Go and get it, everybody is a critic.
Well, hey, that was a clip from a new aspiring artist, Christian rap artist that I have known from my past, and we wanted to bring him on and just let him share his story. This is Kenny Schweitz. And Kenny, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, we're doing good. It's just a pleasure to have you on, man. I'm so glad we connected. For those of you listening that have been listening to Justin and I for a while, Kenny and I crossed paths back in the old town of Wichita, Kansas, back when my parents were pastoring a church there. And Kenny was just, man, you were a teenager that just you were into everything, man. You were all over the place, and I remember doing drama with you and Kidzugal, and just hanging out around the church and just all the stuff going on. You and my sister were friends, and just you've lived a life. You've lived a life, and so when I saw you come across my Facebook feed, I'm like, I'm gonna just see if he even remembers me. And then I started watching your page, and I'm like, dude, he's got some stuff going on. Let's see what's up here. So tell me a little bit about tell me a little bit about this journey, this musical journey that you're on. Tell me what's going on.
Okay, so when I first started doing music and felt a passion for music, I was very young. I grew up, my mom always was playing music in the background. It was country music, my least favorite music out there.
Hey, same here.
But
Same here.
it was all classic country, old school country music. Willie Nelson, Reba McEntire, Toby Keith, George Strait, legends in the country scene. So the music's always been there. I kind of just love just hearing different instruments all the time. And then it made me want to actually get into making music myself. I believe I was in third grade when they give you in band class, they give you the option to choose an instrument if you want to do band or anything. And I chose the violin. Well, I have ADHD, so keeping my hands very just melodic, and I could play very well. I'm very fast paced, and it just wasn't fast enough for me. So then in fourth grade, I started playing the trombone. I played that from fourth grade all the way until sophomore year in high school. So I've always kind of had a love and fascination with music. I also would pick up a guitar and start strumming it and then not even know what notes I were playing, but it actually sounded good to a rhythm. And so I would kind of just take time to focus on these different instruments and learn if it was something that it was part of my path, or if it was something that maybe I could use as a career path. And then, of course, just the young kid in, the early 2000s, you have, Eminem was big in that era, and 50 Cent and, the Tupac Biggies of the era. And so when I was 8 years old, I wrote my mom a love song in a rap. Just because I would hear Eminem all the time on the radio, or I would hear Nelly, or, I'd hear artists on the radio. And my mom actually hated it. My mom hated rap music. It was the devil's music. And I know a lot of the older generation, that's how they were raised, and that's what it was viewed on is, it's hip hop is just the devil's music, just like rock and roll to a certain era of a generation. And so my love and passion for hip hop just came. I can talk very well. I've always been good at talking. I feel like God blessed me with that gift of being able to talk and entertain people. I'm very something that I'm figuring out about myself as I grow older is I really don't like to talk much, but I can do it. That was a part of this album. The actual journey of the hip hop. Professionally, I started back in August of 2014 was the first time I recorded in a professional studio, and recorded a song. And so, from then it just kind of, I lost myself in the music, the fame, when they say, you do something and, you can get hype to your own hype. That was a thing. And so, yeah, it's been a very up and down journey. I knew music was something that always kept me and my mind at peace. But there was always negativity involved with the music, when I tried to do it. So, I kind of stepped away and took a break. Had to really work on myself, as a human being and as a person. to get to where I am now, to be able to actually be responsible enough to handle a message like the one that I'm, sharing in this album. So it's an honor.
That's really cool. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for sharing that. And December 14th, coming up this Saturday, you've got your album release party plus your birthday party. Happy early birthday. Darkness Falls is the name of the album. And you got some collaboration partners.
Collaborator is a mix of a dog.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. You got some partners in this that you're working with, it looks like. Tell me a little bit, Darkness Falls. I know you mentioned on your social medias the mental health component to your life and to this album, and how important that is. As we were talking pre-show, I mean, just Justin and I both have dealt with this in various ways as well. I think everybody, if they're really honest with themselves, has dealt with darkness, mental health issues in their own life, if we're really honest with each other. Can you share a little bit just the inspiration of the album title, The Darkness Falls, what that means to you? Kind of give us a little backstory as to, you kind of alluded to it a little bit. You're working on yourself, coming into a different season of life. Tell us what that means to you, Darkness Falls. Help us to understand that a little bit more coming from you.
So, and it's crazy that you asked that, because I don't think as human beings that live in a world that is so ungodly and so unholy, I don't even think a lot of people know the meaning of what Darkness Falls actually means. And I'm still learning the concept of Darkness Falls, and I just created an album out of it. I do know that every time, like I'd said previously, every time that I had done music, I would be in a dark place, dark time, doing things that I definitely shouldn't have been doing, drugs, hanging around the wrong people, being around the wrong influence. Like I said, trying to live up to the hype of, oh, you're a rapper, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I would lose myself, and just had a lot of self-doubt, to where it would always make me relapse and want to go back into doing drugs, or constantly being mean to people, or lying to people, stealing from people, just being very just a very bad person. In my eyes, I'm not going to sit here and judge anybody for what they do in life. That's not my job to do. But what I can do, and what I feel like God has sent me here to do, is He's given me a testimony to where I can share how the darkness has fallen out of my life. I was in like I said previously, I was, growing up, I had a all right childhood. I was raised by my mom. I did not know who my father was. Didn't meet him until the first time I met him, I was 15 years old. It ended in not a very good way. I didn't meet him again until I was 27 years old. So I'd always been searching for something to kind of nurture that space and that need, of a father figure or something like that. And I did, my mom did marry a man, and he was my stepdad, and he was always there for me, trying to support me. But I had that feeling of nothingness. My father wasn't there for me. He just never came and looked for me, never searched for me. So I would use all that frustration and that negativity, and I would allow the darkness to consume me, because I was just an angry kid. I know, BJ, your dad, me and him, we had, talked multiple times. Your dad, I know he'd pray over me, he'd pray for me constantly. I lived literally right in front of the church that BJ's dad was the pastor I grew up in
Was that
front of that
was
house,
that the house right across the street from the church?
right in
on the
front of it,
property.
on the
Oh, okay, right in
property,
the property. Okay, yeah,
the
yeah.
little bowl.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so yeah. So I lived there, and I have all these people watching me. I'd have other kids, around me watching me and everything, and I just didn't care. I didn't care who I was at the time. I didn't care who I was gonna be at the time. And honestly, I didn't even think I was gonna see the age of 30, or let alone 21 or 25 years old of age. So when it was crazy because every time, like I'd said, every time I'd start wanting to get back into music or want to do anything with entertainment or anything like that, it always felt like there was just darkness kind of surrounded over on top of me, to where I couldn't breathe anymore. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was becoming. I didn't know if I would want to be who I was becoming. So I took a break from music when I started working on bettering myself, working on my drug addiction, working on who I was as a person. Within this 10-year span from August of 2014, when I started doing music professionally, to now, I've only did nine songs. Excuse me, and I did 9 songs, and they were all worldly, secular tracks. And you can hear, like, I had a friend of mine on a song that I did a long time ago. He called me and he said, "Hey man, you could literally hear the cocaine in your nose while in this song."
So you could hear, you could feel and hear that darkness, is what you're saying, like come through that literally almost.
And I was real nasally, and I was in a bad place, man. And so I just within this 10-year span, I dropped 9 worldly tracks. And there was a period that I didn't make any music from 2020, is when I kind of just stopped with COVID and everything. I'd played with the idea before COVID era. I played with the idea of doing a Christian hip hop album, and I decided that I wasn't mentally prepared for that. But I did feel like God was guiding me to call it Darkness Falls. But I still, like I said, at that point, I didn't know what the meaning of Darkness Falls was. I'd bought beats, I'd bought instrumentations, I bought other stuff to try to put this album together. Well, then I felt like God was saying, you're not ready. Everything I was starting to record and write and everything, I would be, freestyling, and a cuss word would slip out, or this would slip out, or this would slip out. Because my process is a lot different than others when it comes to writing. And so, my wife would hear my music, maybe, I don't think within that 4 years, within that 10 years, I've been married. I got married to my wife, and she was really the one that led me back to my relationship with God.
That's where I was kind of wanting to go, Kenny, just to kind of see you, just in me reconnecting with you in the last couple of weeks. I've seen just some of your social media posts about, how the Lord has just been impressing upon you in certain ways. And it just seems like, and this is the total deception of social media. But yet when you know somebody or you have a history with somebody, you kind of have a sense of what's under the undertones of their highlights on social media. But when you're saying things like, the Lord's leading me this way, big announcement coming, God's opening doors, those things are not accidental. Those things are not manipulative. Those are legit. So tell me a little, you're about to go there, but I wanted to intro it a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that that beginning of Darkness Falls as you recommitted and re-sought after what God had for you in your life?
So I was about a year sober off of, about 6 months sober off of cocaine. No, I was a year sober. I was a year and a half sober off of cocaine, and I met my wife. And we started dating and talking. And every Saturday, she would ask me to come to church the next day. And I would always have an excuse or a reason. I got to work. I got work tomorrow. I got this. I got that. Can't do it. I just had an excuse. And then there was one Saturday night that she had texted me, or we were talking, and she asked me, what are you doing tomorrow? And I knew my immediate answer was going to church, because I just felt like, maybe she was going to start pushing back and this and that. And so I ended up, going to church. And I went to the church, a stranger. Nobody knew me. Nobody knew who I was. There was some clarity there. Of course, when you go to a new place, you get the nervousness and this and that. But there was some clarity there, because the only person I knew was my girlfriend, and nobody knew who I was. So the judgmental part wouldn't be there, and this and that. And so, I go to church, and, my wife, she is the usher. She's letting me in and takes me to a seat where her and her family usually sit. And I'm sitting there, and, you can see people looking at me and this and that, because it's my wife grew up in that church. And so, we still attend it, and her father's the assistant pastor, and so, there's eyeballs looking at me, and I'm like, this is actually kind of getting a little weird. I thought this wasn't going to be weird, but, but then, the gentleman that you guys actually heard singing the song on the song, Darkest Days, he was actually part of this story. And so when, I go and I have my seat and I sit down, earlier I told you guys that I've always kind of had a passion for music and just an ear for music. And as soon as I sat down in this chair, actually it was a pulpit. As soon as I sat down there, I hear this voice, and it's B-flat keys, the gentleman that's on Darkest Days, voice. And I just was stuck. I couldn't move. I was there. My attention was there. So I listen to, the songs and everything. And they're all songs that I've heard before in church, just a little different contemporary songs. So, I'm singing along, but his voice is just guiding me. It's leading me to the beginning of this service. And so when the pastor comes on, my bishop, Jeffrey Enlow Sr., when he comes up to preach, the first 10 minutes, he's talking about, he says something that really reached to me, that if you're using those drugs to get you to where you need to be, you're only lowering yourself. If you are worried about pulling up in a flashy $1,000 suit in a $50,000, $600,000 car, are you really where you need to be in life? Because that's just not the things that you need to focus on. You need to focus on God. And within that time of sitting there, I felt it was about 15, 25 minutes that I was just sitting there hearing him. And it felt like I just got done doing 8 rounds with Mike Tyson in 1999. Never met this guy a day in my life. Never seen him, never been around him, nothing. And he looked at me a couple times, to see And I felt like that was God hitting those pressure points, you know, having him look at me and not even knowing who this man is. And so that was kind of the journey there. It began. I started a couple months later. I rededicated my life to God, became a member of the church Bible Way Community of Faith here in Wichita, Kansas. And I've been serving there for since then, 7 years now. Been serving there, been the director of the social media department, the sights and sounds department there. Me and my wife do a lot of that stuff up there for the church. And so just that guidance, my wife not giving up on me, just reminding me, you know, reminding me that, you know, your invitation's still here. And so when I went, just an experience that I never had felt before. Cause it was a life or death situation. I didn't even know it. Cause I didn't know where I'd end up if I was continuing living the life. I know where I'd end up, but I didn't know when I would end up that way. I didn't know how much time I had left. So now,
you know, I think,
go ahead.
I think that's really cool. Cause that's what happens. I mean, our timeline changes when God gets a hold of our life, and we think, you know, I knew you when you were that young teenager that just didn't care about anybody, and you say you were a mean person. I could see that, but I didn't know that side of you, because you were always nice to me. You were always nice to our family, respectful. I knew you were a tough kid, but you know what I'm saying? That timeline changes when you go through life and you go through these battles and these things. Sometimes people don't even have a clue what you're going through. And then all of a sudden you're like, it is life and death, and I didn't even realize it. And not necessarily life and death physical, could be, you know, depending on what you're mixed up in. But then God says, you know what, I need some time from you now. That's really cool. I'm glad to hear that. I want to switch gears a little bit before we let you plug your stuff and get on with your life a little bit. But I have some questions, because you were friends with my sister. I'm supposed to give you a shout out from my mom and dad. I talked to my mom today, and I told her you were going to be on the show, and she said make sure you apologize to him, because he asked for the track from Beth's recording of the song she did. And she said she just has never gotten around to it. And that's one of those things where it just kind of triggers sometimes. But she wanted to apologize, but also just say, hey, and let you know they're proud of you. And so I thought that was cool. I wanted to pass that along to you. But my sister, just a quick question. You can plead the fifth if you want to. I don't know. I have heard a rumor. So I did not see you at the funeral. That's fine. I didn't see you at the graveside. I don't know where you were or what was going on in your life at the time. Somebody told us after the graveside, you need to drive out to this location and look at this railroad overpass and just see what's out there. And so we drive out to this place. It's out past, I can't even think of the name of the town that's out there, past Andover.
Augusta?
No. It's a small town right there off the edge of Wichita. Anyway, we're driving out of town. My ex-wife, she's from out that way, so she knew right where it was. And we walk up, and there's this tagged artwork that says Schmiley on this bridge. And somebody said you had something to do with it, or you knew something about that. Can you clarify, or let me just clarify my question. Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not know. I do not know anything. I do not know anything about that. I do know.
That's okay.
Yeah. I do know that I was at one point going to get a Schmiley tattoo. But maybe one day. I will say on that note, Darkest Days, the song that you guys had heard. There was a point in my life, it was shortly after Bethany had passed away. There was a point in my life that I seen a lot of darkness, and I was going through one of the hardest times of my life, and I heard in the back of my head, I heard everything will be okay. All you got to do is show your strength to fight through the pain. And it was your sister's voice. That's why the day that I'd reached out to you, I said your sister has a lot more to do with this than you would think. And that's a motto that I've given my friends, my own brother. I've given him. He called me. He was going through some things, and he called me, and he said, he's like, man, I just want to give up, man. I don't want to live life anymore. And I say, you know what? I've been there too, man. But I will tell you this: even in your darkest days, everything will be okay. All you got to do is show your strength and fight through the pain. And that's stuck with me. It's been very powerful. And that, Bethany, your sister, she always was a big supporter of mine. She always, if I needed help in any type of way or anything, she would be there for me. She was a very big supporter of mine. People give me a hard time. Hey, don't do that. I remember one time. You don't do that, man. You didn't do that with Bethany. She loved you, man. Yeah. You were her people. She was gonna stick up for you.
That's right. That's right. And you want some goosebumps? Here's some more for you, because the day or two before I reached out to you, I had just had a dream about her, and I don't have many dreams about her. And you know my sister, and my sister gave hugs like nobody's business. Yeah. And her hugs are memorable. And in every one of my dreams of my sister, I wake up right as I'm about to give her a hug, or she gives me a hug. And in my dream, 2 days before I reached out to you, I see her down the stairs at this house that I'm in, and I walk down the stairs and I grab her by the shoulders and I just look in her face, that face that that when she loves you, you are in, there's no getting rid of her. And just this huge smile on her face, and I go to give her a hug, and I wake up and I'm mad, but I'm so happy at the same time. And it's like, those cool things. And then I reach out to you and you tell me this, and I'm just like, wow, Beth.
Yeah. When BJ told me that about dreaming about Beth, and what I remember too is the hugs. But you always picture her wearing that super comfy hoodie that always made you feel even better, right? Like you guys, everybody is hearing this interview. You can't see it, but Kenny's got on a hoodie. He's got a nice, comfortable hoodie on the night, so he's rocking it. So, but
yeah. So thank you for sharing that, and thanks for just, man, being true to yourself. That's really, I think Darkness Falls for my own story and what I've gone through in the last couple of years. Darkness falls when you can be true to yourself, and you get back to that place where God really has you right where He needs you, which is a total surrender to Him, right? And so that's really cool. But hey, plug your show, plug your album, and let us know where we can find it.
Yeah. So I will be having my album release party, the Darkness Falls album release party, December 14th at Grace Point Church. That is 9035 West Central Avenue, Wichita, Kansas, 67212. The doors will open at 4:30, and the doors open at 4:30. The show starts at 5. I will have a good friend of mine, Jay Roberts. He is on the album. I will have a good friend of mine, B-Flat Key, with the Voices of Zion. They will be performing with B-Flat Key. He is on that Darkness Falls track with me. He is on the album as well. And then the big gentleman that had a lot to do with this album, he is a town hip-hop legend. in Wichita and the surrounding area. His name is Ballistic. He now goes by Staccato. And his 11-year-old daughter, Halo Rain. She's a very talented artist. She's a very talented young lady. And she has a very bright future ahead of her. And I will be performing my album in its entirety. Darkness Falls. It is my debut album. This album has a lot from it. Just to keep you guys interested, the first thing you hear on this album is the person that gave me life. The last person you hear on the album is the latest person that I've given life to that is unborn. At this time, she'll be coming in March. Our second child will be. So the light is shining over my family, over a lot of the people that are involved, everybody that's involved in this. The light is just shining. God, the one thing that I've learned in this whole thing that I'm still trying to wrap my mind around is it's not your timing, it's God's timing. Because you can have everything planned out for months, and then one day it's in the trash can, and it's back to round one.
That's right.
Pulls that rug right out, and then you're just like, okay, guess we're starting over.
You're done.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, the Darkness Falls. It's just a story. It's 9 tracks. It's just a story of my life, how I went from loneliness, lostness, being addicted to drugs. Going into my 9th year of sobriety, January 21st. So it's right before that. And so it's been a very humbling, project opportunity. And I can't wait for what's to come next, whatever God has in store.
Is your music going to be up on like SoundCloud or anything like that?
I am on December 16th. Sorry, thank you for reminding me. On December 16th, it will be on all digital platforms. It'll be Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Here Now, Pandora. It'll be on all of those. So, December 16th is when those will be released. And then at the album release party, I'm hoping to have physical copies of the CD. I wanted to do something very special. I know a lot of people don't buy actual physical copies of the CDs anymore because it's all digital. But I have had people reach out that are a little old school, kind of my generation and up, that do want to have that memorabilia there to support me. So I'm waiting on the confirmation to see if they'll be here in time, but hopefully they will be here in time for the show. So I'm only getting 100 physical copies of the CD to hand out. So yeah, it'll be awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kenny, for joining us tonight, and thanks for plugging your show. Listeners, you can find Kenny Schweitz' debut album release party, Darkness Falls, December 14th. December 16th, you can find the digital release on all platforms. So, Kenny, thanks again for joining us, man. Wish you the best of luck. Godspeed. God bless you, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Kenny said something that I took a note on, and I just thought was really cool. When he started his professional music career, he wrote 9 tracks, performed 9 tracks, and that was in almost a 10-year span, if I'm not mistaken, 9-10-year span. Then he took a break, and then his new album that he's releasing now is 9 tracks after he's been sober for 9 years. There's just a lot of sentiment in this album. Wish him the best of luck. Thank you, Kenny, for joining us. Yes. It was a great time. So if you're in the Wichita area, again, let's just December 14th, this Saturday, Darkness Falls album release party at Grace Point Church in Wichita, Kansas. December 16th, digital release on all platforms. Look for it. Darkness Falls, Kenny Schweitz with B-flat keys and Ballistic. So looking forward to it, Kenny. Good job, man.
Yes.
So, 9 days, we go back, we get things redeemed in our life, we come back. So what a perfect segue to the fact that we pick games that mean nothing.
We're segueing from an awesome interview about mental health struggles in the darkness and how bad our picks have been over the years.
So the darkness falls, and that's nothing to joke about because it's true stuff.
It's not true stuff.
Our picks, I had a really dark start of the season. We just wrapped up. I don't know if you noticed this in the notes, Justin. I didn't pick any games this week because we're done. So we got to come up with something else. But here's the thing. Those of you that are keeping track, last week Justin went 3-2, got back on top of the leaderboard, but he finished the season 39-36. So good job, Justin.
Well, hey, thank you.
Golf clap for you. Oh. Yeah. I was 2-3 last week. I've come off my mountaintop pick streak here.
And BJ's going to be
39-36. So we tied.
Dang it.
We tied. So I guess you can buy your own dinner. I'll buy my own dinner. We'll call it good.
We're both winners.
We're both winners. So yeah. I do want to say this, though. There were a couple different times when we were picking games, and we've talked sports. Some people say we talk too much sports, but we were talking about the bowl games. We always pick Nebraska game. I said a few weeks ago, first of all, let me give you credit. There's a few times that you almost picked the score exact or the spread exact, and so kudos to you.
I try.
I had one of those moments with the Broncos one week, but a few weeks ago, before the bowl games were even a thing, I predicted that Nebraska would end up playing in Yankee Stadium.
You predicted this? Hang on a second here. I'm going to go to my translator for every episode.
Go roll the tape.
I can find that. No. Okay. I don't. Yeah, I guess I believe you. I don't remember it.
Yeah. I said it would be great if Nebraska's playing a football game in a baseball stadium, and I knew the Pinstripe Bowl was there in Yankee Stadium, and that's where they end up. For the first time in 8 years, the Huskers are going to a bowl game. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good because there's an ironic thing. Nebraska's only played in New York one other time in a bowl game, and it was the Gotham Bowl. After coming off of the worst seasons heading into that bowl game, Nebraska hadn't been in the bowl games prior to that Gotham Bowl in 1960. I don't remember what year. It was Bob Devaney's first year. And he got into that bowl game, and then it kicked off the run of wins and the dominance. No, I don't know if Nebraska will get there, but ironically, we're back in New York, right? And maybe this will kickstart somebody. You know, maybe there will be a sign for something. I don't know. We got to look for something good. We're losing all of our players into the portal. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The one thing all I've heard was people are complaining that they're going to New York for a bowl game, and most fans are looking at it from a selfish standpoint because they want to enjoy a bowl, spot. But New York is very expensive during the holidays, and that's where people don't want to be. But there's a lot of things there. I'm just happy Nebraska's playing in a bowl game at 6-6, and they're playing after Christmas Day. That just makes me happy.
Yeah, because I didn't know when they were. I thought it might be next week that they got.
No, it's Saturday the 28th, so I'm good with that. So
yeah, that's good. That's exciting. So I am very glad to hear that. I'm glad it's going to be the case. So when you think about we can tell this story because we're not going to pick games, so we got some time to fill here. There is one game on the docket this week that is near and dear to my heart, but. Tell me some of you. How many bowl games have you been to?
I've only been to one bowl game. That bowl game was an interesting trip. It involved you and my friend Chris. Last minute we bought. I'm pretty sure this was like last minute. Like, oh hey, the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. There's still tickets available. That's only a few hour drive there from Lincoln. Let's buy tickets and go. And I know that me and my buddy Chris were gonna, or I can't remember. Was it me and you first, and then my buddy Chris went, or me and Chris, and then we're like, well, we're gonna pick up BJ on the way there. Is that what it was?
Yeah, you guys had started to make the plans, and then you called me because I was closer to Dallas and I was on your way, and so you called and asked if I could get away. Now, what people need to know about this story from my end is that I was fairly newly married. I had just started at a new job at a church, and my ex-wife was pregnant with our daughter and was about to pop. But she said I could go.
She did.
This was a New Year's.
She just told me I need to get you back.
Yeah. It was a New Year's Day game, right? January 1, Cotton Bowl, and we go down to Dallas and spend a couple days. We stayed with one of Becky's family members, if I'm not mistaken, and just enjoyed their hospitality. But then we enjoyed Dallas and got to go see the JFK stuff and all of that. But then went to the game. They played Auburn, if I'm not mistaken, and
yeah, they played Auburn, and we stayed with Becky's cousin April. No.
Yeah.
Yep. April.
Yep.
April and Grant. We just kind of snuck in and slept on the floor in the one front bedroom and left because we got in late. We stayed out late. Remember we met with Cara? You remember meeting up with Cara at that downtown, like, swanky little, I don't know where it was, some fancy place.
We were eating dinner like at 11 o'clock at night or something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and we happened upon the JFK. Like, we weren't even looking. If I remember correctly, we weren't even looking for Daily Plaza. We went to go try to find a barbecue place, and as we're driving around, we're like, this looks familiar. And then we pulled off to the side, and we're like, hey, let's go stand out here in the middle of the road where there's a huge
big X on the road.
Yeah. Is there a guy behind the grassy knoll? I don't know. But yeah, no, that was a quick trip. I mean, if I remember correctly, me and Chris had to be back at work too. And we literally went to the game, and after the game, we came home. I think if memory serves me correctly, we listened, or at least me and Chris did, we listened. I think that was the year of the Fiesta Bowl where Boise State beat Oklahoma with that fake end around behind their back. I think that was the same year. And I remember listening to that on the radio, like, late.
Yeah, because you guys dropped me off, and it was about midnight.
Yeah, we got in about 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah, so it was about midnight for me, and I had just laid down in the bed, and Alicia's like, we have to go to the hospital. And I'm like, oh, man. And so that started the week-long labor pains and struggle and false alarms and all the things that led to my beautiful daughter Emma being born a week later.
Yeah, I remember, like, you tell that story later, people are like, you went to Dallas and your daughter was born like a week and a half later? I'm like, yeah. But no, we didn't sleep at all during that trip.
No, that's why you hear the groans of my voice. I just remember no sleep. As soon as my head hit the pillow, it was, let's go to the hospital. And then when you go to the hospital, you don't sleep at the hospital when your wife's pregnant and trying to give birth. So
well, and then also, like, just being in Dallas, I don't think any of us had been to Dallas before, and we were just trying to navigate through town and the Cotton Bowl, where they have the Cotton Bowl at, and now the Cotton Bowl is played in Jerry World, and the Cotton Bowl was in the old stadium there
on the fairgrounds.
That's a rough neighborhood.
It is, but I thought it was
very
really
rough neighborhood.
Yeah, what I remember was cool about walking up to that stadium is the way we walked up to the entrance. We had all of the motorcycle cops were parked on that one side, and there was probably 30 Harley Davidson motorcycle cops there, which was really cool.
Yeah, no, that was a fun trip. I we packed in a lot that week, that 2.5 days.
Yeah.
But next time we'll fly. We'll take my private jet.
There you go. That works. So, well, I got to ask you this just because we're talking sports. The Big 12 teams, not the Big 12 conference. What game of the 12 teams playing are you most anxious to watch?
Which one am I most anxious to watch? I don't know. Man, I'm kind of curious to see what that Tennessee Ohio State game is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because I kind of like watching Ohio State lose. I mean,
I don't think Ohio State loses that game though.
No, I think this is set up for Ohio State's revenge, right? They can beat Tennessee, and then they get Oregon after that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing that in the Rose Bowl, aren't they? Didn't Oregon select the Rose Bowl as their bowl? Because those top 4 teams got to pick their location where they wanted their game.
Okay. And Oregon is the number 1 team?
Yep, so they picked Rose Bowl. So I think Ohio State goes, if they win, they go there.
Well, that's fitting, Big 10 versus old Pac-12.
12, yeah. I also thought it was interesting that the conference championships last week, there was, 3 or 4 newcomers to a conference that were in the championship. And so that was just kind of fitting that some of those old teams were, what Nebraska really wanted to do back in the day, come into a conference and kind of dominate. Then they fell apart.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what about you? I'm trying to think of what other matchup off the top of my head. I don't know. I mean, Penn State, people will say will have the easiest, easiest road, but
I heard that argument. And I can see
Boise's just like, bring it.
Yeah, I can see why people would think that, but I mean that Boise State team, I did watch some of that. I did see some of that game. That running back's legit.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if Clemson does something. They're secretly team.
They're on a hot streak right now, but I do like watching SMU as well. So I think it's cool they got into. But it's going to be. I don't know. I heard somebody today say, they probably could have stopped at 8 instead of 12, but then if they stopped at 8, then we'd still be fighting over the last 4 teams. So. Somebody
suggested doing an NIT of all the other teams.
That would be cool. Not all of the other teams, but
no, I meant do like an 8.
Or 8, yeah.
8 NIT.
That'd be neat.
We kind of use the bowls to do that. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that's what it's going to become when it's NFL AAA is what the college football will be.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, did you have a game of the 12 team playoff that you're intrigued by? I guess I will say I'm taking your answer because you're going to say Notre Dame, Indiana. It's the Battle of Indiana, right? Like that's going to be a good game.
It will be. It'll be a close game.
Freeman Googled him. He Googled him. He looked him up. He's like, "Hey, I see ya.
I see you. I know what you are.
I see you."
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen there in all those different shakeups and things. You see the coaching carousels, but wouldn't that be something? I don't think that either one of those guys are going anywhere this year. But if you parlayed your Indiana run to take over Notre Dame, just stay in the same state, but that won't happen. But it will be cool to see that game because the Hoosiers and the Irish. Yeah, I don't know when the last time. I'd have to look it up. I don't know when the last time they played each other. That's not a football game. That's a basketball game. But it'll be cool. It'll be cool to watch. Go Irish.
Go Irish, he says. Yeah, I don't know when the last time they played. Man, I don't keep track that close.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. They're playing now, and that's the only one that counts. So,
Oh, a quick Google, because I Googled it. 23-5-1. Notre Dame leads the series.
wow,
So
that's bulletin board material.
yeah, just
Right
gave it to
there.
him.
So there you go.
Listen
there
to
you
his
have it.
podcast.
Well, let's. I'm not even going to write this one down, but there's one college football game happening this weekend, and it's a very special game to my soul.
To your soul.
Army versus Navy.
Army versus Navy.
Who
Tell
you
me
got?
tell me about these teams. I don't know anything about them. Army, aren't they 11-1 and left out of the playoff, and they won their conference championship?
Yeah,
Yeah, but what?
but it's Army.
Oh, okay.
And Navy is up and down. Yeah, I don't ever. It's almost like these two teams, and you throw Air Force in there, which is why I like the Armed Forces teams. But
They should play all three teams at once.
like a little triangular, like
Yeah,
you would do in
how would they do
volleyball.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a little triangle football game. Like, I don't know.
No, you just do you play like in basketball pickup games where it's the 5 on, whoever scores, the loser
Yeah.
goes off.
Yeah,
And then
that's what you
they
do.
have to go back
rotate.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They should do that with the armed forces.
that should be what the Commander in Chief Trophy game is played. So that would be cool.
SpaceX is next, right? And then they can have the fourth team.
I don't think their football team will be very good, though.
Oh,
So,
well, all right.
well, I think Army wins the game.
Yeah, I would say Army's going to win that one. I think too.
So it's
I don't know what the early spread is right now on that.
go Black Knights.
Black
No.
Knights, yeah.
Yeah, and what's always cool about this game too is that they will put on some interesting uniforms, and there will be a story behind the helmets or the uniforms in some way, which I think is really cool. So
Yeah, I haven't seen any leaks about what the helmets are going to look like this year. Usually they have something that kind of leaks out on social media.
yeah,
I haven't seen
Which-
them yet.
I just think it's really cool, and I just want to say, shout out to all of our servicemen and women out there that are serving our country. Army and Navy and Air Force, if I'm not mistaken, they do not allow redshirt players on their teams. So you only have 4 years to play at the academies, and you have to make the most of it. And then unless you get an exemption, if you're going to be great in the NFL or something and your livelihood, you go straight into your contract after you're done
Yeah.
playing. So they get to play football as a means to kind of take the time off of what they're getting ready for their life and their career choice to fight for our country. And so it's pretty cool. I just have a great respect for these players and what they're doing on the field and off the field as well. So it's going to be a fun game. Army, go Army, beat Navy. And for all my Navy friends out there, go Navy, beat Army. So
Wow. Jeez. You just want to do that for all your picks today? And every single one of them?
that's all of them right there.
That's
so
it.
that's it. Well,
Do we hype next week's episode?
so let's tease it. Let's
Tease it a little bit. Next week,
So
we're doing a virtual double date.
we're doing a virtual double date. It's gonna be pretty interesting. Yeah, it'll be fun. So stay tuned next week for the virtual double date, and then we have a special episode to conclude our season the following week, and then we will
We're gonna
take a
a
few
little
weeks
break.
off. Yep, take a
We're
few
gonna
weeks off.
We're gonna go on a cruise separately. We need a break from each other. But yeah, no. Next week, we're gonna have some fun, and then the week after that, a little twist on the interview piece. It'll be kind of fun, I think. But yeah, so yeah, but come back next week, people, and go listen to all of our episodes again. I don't know.
Yeah, go catch up if you haven't caught up. You can listen in double time, and it goes twice as fast, and it's just as interesting. So
Yeah, I was throwing around the idea of maybe during our break, maybe have AI go in and listen to all of our episodes and pull out the key stuff and see what it come back with. That would be interesting.
kind of a dump episodes where we just let AI run it.
Just like, what's going on? The AI will probably start on fire and say, we're never going to do this again. So
that would be interesting.
But,
well, what do you got planned this weekend? What do you got going on?
Oh, this weekend. Nothing. I don't think we have anything besides the normal weekends into, just doing the church stuff. Oh, no, I take that back. We do have something this weekend. We have our church open in our new church property. We are transforming our future worship area in our church into a giant indoor miniature golf course that we open to the public.
Hold on, your current church or your new church?
Well, our new church property that hasn't been redone yet.
Right.
The empty shell we're building our miniature golf course in there.
Okay.
Normally we do it at our current property, but since we have this property that's just empty right now, waiting for inspections and all that fun stuff, we're going to transform that into a giant indoor miniature golf course we call it the Christmas Open. So we do that on Fridays and we're going to do that on Friday and Saturday. So I'm pretty sure I'm the chauffeur, so I get to take my kids back and forth to that. So
cool. Yeah, that'll be fun.
We're going to do that. What about you? What you got going
on? Besides the miniature golf, a lot of the same. Nothing. So nothing too crazy and exciting. So maybe I'll get to watch the Army-Navy game.
Army-Navy. Go Navy. Yep. For your Navy friends. Go Army for your Army friends.
That's right.
Go Air Force for your Air Force friends.
Yeah.
Well, good to hear, man. I hope that your weekend goes great and you get to sit back and relax.
Yeah, you as well. Enjoy the putt-putt. Make sure you set the course record. Tell the kids to work hard. Raise a lot of money.
Can I take my own putter?
I think you have to. It's kind of like taking your own bowling shoes to the bowling alley.
Take your own bowling shoes, okay.
Yeah.
So I should take bowling shoes to the miniature golf course?
That would be awesome. And then take a picture of it. And
I don't even know if I own bowling shoes. I have bowling balls. Weird.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever bought any. Anyways, I'm going to take my driver. Got it.
Sounds good. Putting with the driver. Well, it's been another good episode, good week. Thank you, Kenny Schweitz, for joining us. And everybody go check it out. Darkness Falls album releasing this weekend, next Monday. You don't want to miss it. So thank you, Justin. And we'll stay tuned for next week. It's the surprise virtual double date. So until then, here's to a lack of communication of irrelevant age news. We'll see you next time.
See ya.